comparison is the thief of joy, but it can also be a great giver. So I'm pretty sure most of everybody have heard, like, that first part of that saying, comparison is the thief of joy. And I myself just added that last part, how it can also be a great giver. Um, People will tend to focus on, I guess, negative aspects of things, and comparison can have its own negative aspects, especially if like that's the main thing that people are focusing on, right? So the way comparison can be negative is when we use it to try and be a perfectionist, or try and compare ourselves to people who um, I guess like are like could be considered to be in a quote unquote different league, or when we use it to put ourselves down, or to tell ourselves that we can't do anything, or that we suck at this, we can't do this, so and so can do it better than me. That's poison to the mind, and it doesn't allow for any growth mindset, right? And it can just put you down into a negative mood, right? But and then when people say the term comparison is the thief of joy, they're honestly disregarding all the positive and all the beneficial aspects of comparison. I feel like it's human nature to want to compare and to contrast between ourselves and other individuals, or just other aspects of life, right? It's how we can make decisions. It's how we can basically decide where we want to go in life. And so we kind of seem to disregard a lot of that, or to, I don't know, just not think about a lot of that stuff, right? So I want to spend this time talking about more of the positive aspects of comparison, or at least all the positive aspects that I kind of see and I can kind of gauge for myself from comparison, right? So the first thing is, so people will like mention how comparing yourself to others, basically comparison in a way that is outside of yourself, or outside of your own progress, is bad. But not a lot of people might mention how comparing yourself to yourself is the best thing, right? Now you probably have heard some people say, like, compare yourself to yourself, but I feel like that isn't said enough, right? So of course you can compare yourself to yourself based on the progress you've made from now compared to the past, right? Maybe if you started out drawing 3 months ago, and you've been very consistent and diligent with it, and you've been working at it every day, and you've been trying to find ways to get better and better, 90 days later, you might see that you've gotten a lot better, right, compared to your first drawing, or whatever the case may be. If you're trying to do, I don't know, be a speaker or something like that, right? Or you're a writer or something like that, and you see that you're writing, if you go back and you see and you cringe at your writing and you think it's bad, or you can point out so many other mistakes, that means you've progressed, and now you're comparing your current skill level to your past skill level, right? So that's a way comparison can be a great thing, right? Now, earlier I did mention how it's usually kind of like seen as a bad thing to, of course, compare yourself to other people. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing. It just depends on how you go about it, and what you do yourself when you compare yourself to others, right? So of course you can compare yourself, and then now you feel inadequate. Now you feel like you're subpar. Now you feel like your skill level is like, not where you wanted to be. But all these things can be motivating factors depending on how you view it, right? So instead of saying I'm not good enough, say that I can always do better. Say that I can improve, right? Say that I can catch up. Say that I can make it, right? Especially if you stay diligent to the process and working towards whatever it is that you're trying to better yourself at every day, right? Even if that's just, more general aspects of your life. When you can compare yourself to others, you can, of course, gauge your own progress in the same way. Like to see how much you've gotten better, or to even see what aspects of, let's say, whatever skill or whatever thing you're trying to improve in, which ones you are able to improve in better. Let's say, just again using art as an example, maybe you're very good at drawing portraits, but landscapes isn't really your strength, and you have a friend who had maybe started art the same time as you, and you see that they're really good at landscapes, but portraits isn't their thing, right? Or portraits, they're like not that, they're good, but they're not that good, not as good as like maybe how you are, right? So that's how comparison can also be another way to give, or to, I guess, to give more to your experience. Sorry for the background noise. There's a lot of cars passing by. And you want to use comparison as a thing to, in a way, boost yourself, right? You can kind of use you can kind of use comparison in a way that is like, I guess, more like arrogant or ego like, by comparing yourself to others who may not be doing as well. But then again, this can kind of be seen as like, you're in a more fortunate position, right? Let's say maybe financially, you're not doing as well as like the homeless guy who's on the street. So you're just kind of like, okay, just let me make sure I don't end up like him. Because okay, just using that as an example, what can happen is like, we'll compare ourselves to, I don't know, the Kardashians or something, right? They have a bunch of money, they're famous, they did so much stuff with their bodies to the fact that, like, now they look quote unquote perfect or whatever. And you might be envious, you might be jealous, or you just might want to have that lifestyle, right? And you might think that you don't have enough, you're not doing enough, that you're low, that you're on a low level, right? I guess compared to the Kardashians. But then let's say you see someone who's in a more unfortunate situation, and now you can kind of a more unfortunate situation than you specifically, and now you can kind of see like, what, maybe I'm not as bad as I think. Maybe I'm pretty good where I'm at. Of course, you can still always want to improve, but maybe I don't have to be as hard on myself as I would have when I was comparing myself to the Kardashians, instead of like, me comparing myself to the homeless guy, asking for cigarettes or whatever. So it all just depends on how we look at it and how we view these situations. We can always take things and always apply negative aspects to things, because just negativity, I feel like negativity and positivity, they are an energy, and negativity is very stimulating. Sometimes it's fun to be negative. It's fun to be someone who's a hater. It's fun to just like, I don't know, be bothersome. It's fun it can be fun, I guess, depending on you, right? It can be fun to just kind of like read all like a bunch of hate comments and, watch some like random YouTuber like mentally implode on the internet, right? And negative energy is so stimulating, and because of that, it's kind of almost like junk food. And once we get some, we can't stop, right? We want to keep going and going and going, and we want to keep gossiping, we want to keep talking, we want to keep hearing about rumors, stuff like that. And it's actually more of an effort to actively be a more positive person and to get into more positive mindsets, because positive energy is so strong. And the thing is, it's like negative energy takes a much weaker mindset in order to just fall right into. And positive energy, you need to actually like develop almost kind of like a skill of just wanting to surround yourself with the best things possible for your mind and your body and even your soul, right? So we always like, we can't just sit here and say like, comparing ourselves is like, the death of everything right now. Of course, if you're going to go into, do your own thing and you don't really care about what other people think, like you genuinely don't, which most people do care, right? I'd say 99.2% of people on the earth actually do care, unless you're a little child. So learning to not care, that's going to be harder than, of course, dealing with what are, I guess, the positive and the negative aspects of comparison, right? It's very easy to just get into that, like, that low mindset of just like feeling inadequate, feeling inferior, feeling like, you're not doing enough. As an artist, as a creative in general, it's very, very easy to get in that mindset, because you feel like there's so many people that are just so better than you. There's so many people who just have so many good ideas, and you feel like, man, why didn't I think of that? Or man, I'm so envious of them. Or man, I wish I could draw or paint as good as that. And so it leads us to, I just feel horrible about ourselves, to feel bad about ourselves, right? But you can always shift that negative mindset. Even if you still have those thoughts, you can catch yourself and tell yourself like, I can always do better. Let me try and find different ways to improve myself. Of course, let me take my time, and then, let me look in the past and see how well I am, or how well I've done compared to how I have in the past.